everyone, Rose here. Today we are going to make this decorative hot pad. I did mine in acrylic because I just use these for decoration, and you can do these in any colors. This is the one we just filmed. So what we're going to need is you're going to need your flower color, you're going to need some white trim, and then your leaf color. Any 4-ply worsted weight would be just fine. That's what I'm using. These are just some scraps. And you're going to need, of course, your pair of scissors, tapestry needle. We're going to be doing the H hook. And I'm going to suggest you get 2 stitch markers. Make it a little bit easier. All right, so go get those supplies. We'll get this beauty going. Alrighty, you guys ready to go? We are going to start with a slip knot. And then we're going to chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into that first chain to form a ring. And then we are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to be working in this loop here. So, but before we go, this first chain, let's go ahead and put a stitch marker there. We're going to need that. We're going to need that chain. And now we're going to put 8 half double crochets into this ring, and with this one here we'll have 9 total half double crochets. And then I will meet you at the end of this row when we have 9 half double crochets total. Okay, so I made it back around. Now there's the top of our chain 3. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to go into the back loop in all these stitches here. And we're going to put 2 half double crochets in each stitch around. We're not going to join. We're not going to chain nothing. We're just going to do 2 half double crochets in each of these stitches, and it's going to be a total of 18. Now, my advice is to try to get this a little tight and then hold it as tight as you can. So that that stitch that we just did isn't this big long stitch. Okay, so that was 1. Go back right in there. 2. Now before I go, I'm going to just take a look. There is our next half double crochet right there. This is the top of it, and it's deceiving, but especially when you go into one loop, a lot of times the next stitch will, it's almost like it folds down a little bit or something, and it's hard to see, but I don't want you to skip that. Go ahead and go right into there and do 2 more half double crochets, and then 2 half double crochets all the way around, and we will have a total of 18, and then I will catch you there. Okay, I just counted, and I have 18 half double crochets, and now we're going to do 1 more row, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets in the back loop all the way around, and we're going to go from a stitch count of 18 to 36. So we're just going to immediately go into that next one, and there's 1 and 2, and then I will catch you at the end of this row when you have 2 half double crochets in each stitch for 36. Okay, 36 makes that nice little ridge. That's what we're going to be doing our petals into. Now, this is where in this next half double crochet, that's what we're going to put our stitch marker in, so that, because we're going to need that when we slip stitch back around. But once we get all those petals, it gets really hard to see. So that's my new tip. Now what we're going to do, we're going to chain 2. I'm kind of deviating from the pattern a little bit. This is what I found easier. Now this stitch marker here, okay, you can go ahead and pull it out. Keep your eyes on it though. And we're going to slip stitch into one of those loops. Okay, now the thing about it is that that first stitch is turned like sideways, so you're gonna have to like turn it, and then you can feel in there and get your hole. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do 3 more double crochets into that loop. There's 1, 2. It's kind of stretching out a little bit, so it's making it a little bit easier. There's 3. And now we're going to chain up 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and then back in there we're going to slip stitch all in that one loop, and that forms our first petal. All the petals are going to be like that. So now let's move on to the next one. See, it's already like laying straight up and down, so we're just going to move that to the side. And I'm going to fold it down, and I can see those lines right there, right there. Those are those front loops. So, and if you need to, you can always set it down and step back a little bit, and then those lines will show up a little bit for you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it back down, and then I'm going to go into my next front loop, and I'm going to slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain up 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And I'm just kind of pulling on it a little bit to get myself in there because that hole's tiny. Now we're going to do 3 more double crochets in there. 1, 2, 3, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's the hole we want. Now we're going to go back in there and we're going to slip stitch. There's 2 petals, and I'm just pushing them to the side, get them out of my way. Now, I'm going to go into this next one, which is difficult to see, but it's right there. And we're going to repeat this pattern. So we're going to slip stitch. We're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and then slip stitch back into that loop. And this is what we're going to do until we have 10 petals. So it'll be this inner ring. So that was 3. Let's do 1 more together. It's 4. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 2, oops, lost it, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch back into that loop. Okay, so continue on around, fold this down, and it will help you find your next loop. And then I will meet you when we get back after we have 10 petals. Do a chain 3, 3 double crochets, and a chain 3, and slip stitch all into the one loop. Let's pull that to the back. So here's that first one. It sits funny. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What a crazy mess, huh? All right, so now what we're going to do, this next row is going to be the same, but we're just going to make a few small changes. It's going to be a little bit easier. So here is that chain 2 that we started with. Now I'm just going to move that for me to the left, for you to the right, and then there is our first back loop. So I'm going to fold the back down, fold those petals down, and I'm going to go straight in there. And then I'm going to slip stitch. And then we're going to start the process again. Go ahead and chain 3. Keep it all folded down. 3 double crochets in there. 3, and then the chain 3, and then slip stitch back in there. So now what we're going to do for the rest of this one, we did 10 petals in the middle. We're going to do 10 petals on the outside. But on this one, there's our next stitch. We're going to skip that and then go into the next one. So every other one, we're going to do a petal. We don't have to do every stitch now. So I'm going to immediately skip that one and go straight into the next. And then we're just going to repeat our petal. And then at the end of this row, we'll have 10 more petals, skipping every other stitch. And then I will meet you when we get closer to the end. Just make sure you have 10 petals. Before we get too far along, I just want to remind you that if you push your petals down and you fold the back, that whole front loops just expose itself to you. Just a little extra tip to make sure that you are still on track. Okay, so now that you've come back around, this is why we needed that stitch marker. That's what we're going to slip stitch into. And I'm just going to jump over this chain 2 that we all started with and go into that first half double crochet and slip stitch chain 1, and we're going to fasten off. And that's what it starts looking like. I kind of like it all scrunched up though. So now let's get ready to start the leaf. This is the first half double crochet. And all I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to pull my leaf color in and tie a square knot. That way I don't have to worry about it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in there and we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. This is going to count as our first double crochet. And then I'm going to put another double crochet in that half double crochet down there. So I have 2 double crochets in this first stitch, chain 2, and then I'm going to put 2 more double crochets in there. That first half double crochet. There's 1, and there is 2. So I have a chain up 3, a double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets in that first half double crochet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to skip 3 chains. There's 1, 2, 3. And in this fourth one, we're going to repeat that. And this is going to be, we're going to be referring to this as a shell. So the shell consists of 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, a chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets in the same stitch, followed by a chain 1. My Fitbit is telling me that I've gotten my 10,000 steps, but I'm pretty sure it's not correct. It's probably 10,000 crochet steps. Okay, now we are going to skip 3. 1, 2, 3. And in the fourth stitch, we're going to repeat our shell. 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, a chain 2, 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2, followed by a chain 1. And that's what we're going to do all the way around. We're going to skip 3 chains, 2, 3, and in the fourth chain, we're going to do our shell. And we should have 9 of these shells all the way around. I'm going to let you carry on with that, and then I will meet you when we get down to the end here. Okay, I just came around, and what we're going to do, let me back up here, I got ahead of myself. What we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch into the top of this chain 3. Okay, and then we want to slip stitch into this next one and get into this chain 2 space. So do 2 more slip stitches to get into that chain 2 space. All right, now this is row 8, and this is the last of the leaf color. And what we're going to do for this one is we're going to chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and we're going to put 2 more double crochets in this chain 2 space, and then we're going to chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets. And I just want to point out, just for this row, not for any of the other rows, are we doing the 3 double crochets. For this shell, for this row only, we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. No chain 1, no nothing. We're going to go straight in there and do 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 3 more double crochets. And then at the end of this row, we will still have 9 of these shells all the way around. So when we get back over here, I'll be back. Okie dokie. Did my 9 shells of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain 3, and we can fasten off. Hallelujah, getting through it. Now go ahead and grab your last color, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of, whoops, sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, and I will meet you right back here. Okie dokie. Just like with the green, I'm going to pick the top of this chain 2, and I'm just going to tie on my color. Okay. There we go. I've been holding my yarn in my lap because it's just a ball and it's like rolling around everywhere. Found a bucket and I just threw it across the room. So, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up a loop, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This is row 9. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do another double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets in the top of that chain 2 space. And that's our shell. 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Now, next to it, which is the second part of our shell from the row before, I have to pull mine apart a little bit to get to this top of this double crochet here. And we're going to put 2 double crochets into that top of that very first double crochet. Chain 3, double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then in that first double crochet, put 2 more double crochets. And this is how it's going to start repeating. Is we're going to skip over everything. This last double crochet, we're going to put 2 double crochets in there. It's right before that chain 2. So there's 1 and 2. And then in our chain 2 space, we're going to do our shell. There's 1 and 2, chain 2, 1 and 2. And then in that very next double crochet, put 2 more double crochets there. So the pattern is actually written that there's 4 double crochets going up, and then there's 4 double crochets going down, and that's what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our repeat. Find your double crochet next to that chain 2 spot and put 2 more in there. 1, 2. And then do our shell. 1 and 2, chain 2, 1 and 2. And then again, the top of that first double crochet, put 2 more double crochets in there. So as long as you have, when you look at it, 4 double crochets going up and then 4 double crochets going down, then you're on track. And you want to do that all the way around, all 9 of those petals. And I will meet you back when we get over here. And don't hesitate just to pull it apart a little bit so you can see where the top is. Okay, come back around. And now we're going to finish our 4 double crochets. So you take that last double crochet, then we're going to put 2 more double crochets in there. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of our first chain 3. Okay, and now we're going to do 1 more row, and we're just going to slip stitch to get to this chain 2 space. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain up 3 on row 10, and we are going to do another double crochet, do our shell basically, and then 2 more double crochets. We're going from 4, and we're going to go to 5. In the first double crochet, we're going to put 1 double crochet. In the next double crochet, we're going to put 2 double crochets. We now have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so what we're going to do is we're going to skip all these and we're going to go straight to these last 2 double crochets. And in the top of that one, we're going to start with 2 double crochets. 1, 2. And the very next one, we're going to put 1. Now we're at the top of our chain 2. Let's just do our regular shell. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet at the top of that one. And then in the very next one, we're going to put 2 double crochets. And that is our repeat. We're going to skip all those, and we're just going to find the last 2. And I'm going to put 2 in that first one. And then that last double crochet before the chain 2, I'm going to put 1 double crochet. Now we can do our shell. First double crochet, 1. And then in the very next one, 2 double crochets. And that's the repeat. And then I will just meet you when we get to the other end. Before I go, just make sure that you have 5 going up and 5 going down. Okay, come back. Just putting my hands on it. It's kind of getting the yarn to relax a little bit. And now we're going to finish this first shell that we started. So we've got 2 of them. Now we're going to pull these apart. Here's one, and here's the second one. And we're going to put 2 double crochets in that first one, which isn't easy because we've slip stitched into there. So it's probably a little tight. And then I'm going to do 1 double crochet right next door. At the top of this chain 3, we are going to slip stitch. And yes, we're fastening off. And this is where we are. And now I think what we're going to do is we're going to make the back to this. It's just going to be a repeat of this, except we won't be doing front loops and all that jazz. So go back and get your purple, and I will meet you back. We are going to start with a slip knot. Whatever your flower color is, go ahead and get a slip knot, and we're going to chain up 4. I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain to form a ring, and we're going to, I like to get my fingers set up, chain up 3, and that will count as our first half double crochet. And then, as we did before, we're going to put 8 more half double crochets in the ring for a total of 9. So go ahead and get 9 total half double crochets, and I will meet you at the end of this round. All right, I have my 9 half double crochets, and now for the next 2 rows, we're not going to join or anything as we did before. We're going to go straight into the top of that chain 3, and we're going to put 2 under both loops, except it's kind of hard on that first one, so I'm just going to do 1. We're going to put 2 half double crochets in each stitch around for 18, and I will catch you at the end of this row. 18, and we're going to go straight into the next stitch and do 2 half double crochets in each stitch around. We're going to go from 18 to 36 half double crochets, and I will meet you at the end of this row. 36 half double crochets. We're not going to make a fuss. We're just going to pull that there, and we are going to slip stitch, fasten off. Now go ahead and get your second color or your leaf color, and we will start that shell stitch again. All right, and then where I joined, brought the green through, and I tied it on there. So now I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to pull up a loop, and I'm going to chain up 3, which counts as my first double crochet, and then we're going to do that shell. So let's do another double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets in that first stitch. 1 and 2. And then for this round only, we're going to do a chain 1. So this is the repeat. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th stitch, we're going to do our shell here. Skip 3 stitches, and in the 4th, do your shell, followed by a chain 1. And at the end, we should have 9 of those shells. And I will meet you back here. Okay, there we go. I've counted. I have 9. And at the top of this first chain 3, I'm going to slip stitch. And then I'm going to slip stitch on over till I get into my chain 2 space. And then we're going to chain up 3. And this is that funny row where we do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. And that's what we're going to do in each of these chain 2 spaces. So here's the second one. Here's the third one. Now chain 2. And then 3 more double crochets. And then do that in each of those chain 2 spaces. And I'll meet you at the end. All right. Go back around. I've counted and I have my 9 points still. And then in this first double crochet, or that first chain 3, I'm going to slip stitch to join, and we're going to fasten off. And not a moment too soon. This is what I had left. I was sweating it. I was like, oh, because I don't have this color. I don't have any more of it. Now, go get your last color, and we will get this back part done. Actually, I'm just going to do what I've been doing, which is I'm just going to tie it on, pull up a loop, and we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to do our shell, which is the 2 double crochets. It's probably like old news now. We've done it so much. Now, we've done the 2, we've done our shell, and then again, in that first double crochet, do 2 more double crochets. And I'm not going to dawdle on this because I hopefully went slow enough on the other part. And then we're going to skip straight over, and then that first double crochet, we're going to do 2 double crochets in there, so that at the end we have a total of 4 double crochets going down, and then there'll be 4 going up, 4 going down. And then I will meet you at the end of this row. I'll see you now. We're going to finish off this shell that we started with. So take that double crochet, and we're going to go ahead and add the last 2 in there. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. Slip stitch over and get into that chain 2 space. We are like so close to being done with this part. I'm just like really excited to get this part done. Chain up 3. And now we're going from 4 up to 5, which is going to be our shell. Start with our shell. Okay. And then that first double crochet, 1 double crochet. The next double crochet, 2 double crochets. And then that gives us the 5 that we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to skip all those, and we're going to go straight over to the last 2 before the chain 2. And we're going to put 2 in there, 1 in there. Do your shell. And then we're going to reverse it. We're going to do 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets. And then I will meet you at the end of this row, and we'll finish that shell off. Okay, made it back around. And now we're going to finish off this beginning shell. So we need 5. So we're going to spread this apart, and we're going to finish this off. 2 double crochets here. And then 1 last one. And then we will slip stitch into the top of this first chain 3. And we can fasten that off. I'm just playing yarn chicken today. Okay, there we go. That is the back. This is our front. That's our back. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to go ahead and just snip these down so they're not taking a chance on poking through when it's together. And I will meet you right back here. All right, so that's our front side. Put that down. This is my front side. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put the wrong sides together. So I've got my good side on both sides showing out. And I'm just going to take a moment just to get it kind of lined out. Here's our peaks. We're going to tie it. We're going to call this the valley, and this valley part. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we're in that valley part. And what we're going to do, we're going to be doing slip stitches. So if you look closely, if you have it lined up, you're going to have a hole here. I'm going to go down. It's all those chain 2 spaces. And then we have one last one down here. And then we have those 3 chains that we skipped. We have that on both sides. This is how we're going to do this. I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to draw up a loop. And I'm just going to do a chain 1. And then I'm going to take my finger. And I'm going to try to keep my hand pretty relaxed and keep my yarn relaxed. I'm just going to go down from the top. And then I'm going to come to the back. And I'm going to grab that yarn. And I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to do a slip stitch. That's 1. Get my fingers to the next hole. Go to the front. Go to the back. Grab your yarn. Gently pull it up. And then do a slip stitch. That's 2. Go down again. You can pull it up a little bit. Face down. Go to the back. Grab it. Pull it up. And do a slip stitch. Keep this kind of loose because otherwise it'll bunch it down and we don't want to do that. Now we're going to go in this chain. Those chains. And then we're going to go to the back. Make sure we grab those. And then we're going to grab our yarn. I don't know if this is how well this angle is, but I'm trying. And then I'm going to flip it back over. And I'm doing a slip stitch. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Just done 4 slip stitches down. Now we're going to go back up.